and thank you very much for joining us here today. We're going to take you through a presentation about some of the information about the university, and then we're going to open up to some questions. Thank you very much for already submitting some. We can see some on our newsfeed already. So to start, my name's David Joyce, and I am the regional manager for the Indian subcontinent. So I look after India, Sri Lanka, Nepal, and Bangladesh.
And I'm Sally Jones, and I look after Southeast Asia. So in my remit, I have 7 countries, including Thailand, Malaysia, Philippines, Vietnam, Singapore, Brunei, and Myanmar. So we're going to, like David said, we're going to start with the presentation, which should answer a lot of your questions. So we'll go through that, and then if you have any further questions at the end, you can write them to us, and we'll go through those and answer those for you.
Okay, so we'll bring up the first slide of the presentation now for you.
So the presentation is going to be geared around some questions that we're asked quite frequently. So they should be able to help you with regards to fees, accommodation, how to write a personal statement. So the first slide we're going to talk about is how to write a personal statement. For my market in Southeast Asia, I'm asked this quite a lot, and a lot of students are kind of a little bit put off about writing one because they're not sure what to include or how long it should be. But if you break it down into 3 sections, so you think of it like a story, and every story has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And the reason that we ask you to write a personal statement is because when we're assessing your application, we want to know as much about you as possible to determine whether the course you've chosen to study is actually going to meet your needs and actually going to give you the skills that you need once you've graduated to get your dream job. So for example, if you've applied for a course in accountancy and you're writing about a completely different course, we read your personal statement and we can see that actually your personal statement is not geared towards the course you've chosen. So we may suggest another course for you that would be more geared towards you. So every story has a beginning, a middle, and an end. So the beginning is, who are you? Where are you from? What hobbies do you have? What are you studying right now? And why have you chosen this subject? So if you just bear in mind that we're looking for around 400 words from you approximately, so maybe half a side of A4. We're not looking for a 20,000 word thesis. It literally is just 3 simple sections. So the beginning, who are you? Where are you from? What are you studying now, and why have you chosen that subject? The middle, why have you chosen the UK? So you may have investigated studying in the States or perhaps in Australia, Canada, but why specifically have you chosen to study in the UK? Why have you chosen the University of South Wales? Is it because you like the campus environment? We have a course that's accredited. So give us some information and show us that you've researched into other universities, other countries, and other courses offered by other universities. And do you have any experience, any work experience, whether it's paid or unpaid, voluntary? We want to know if you've got any experience. And then why have you chosen this course? So what do you enjoy about the subject that you're choosing? And then the end, what do you hope to do once you've graduated? And how do you hope to have developed as a person by the end of your course? What skills and attributes do you hope to have gained? And for example, what we look for is the ABC theory, okay? So A is activity, B is benefit, and C is course. So for example, if you've told us in the beginning your hobbies, so for example, you're the captain of a football team, great, we want to know that you're a captain of a football team, but how has this benefited you and how does it relate to your course? So by being captain of the football team, you've got some probably leadership skills, and how is this going to benefit you in your course? So always try and think back to ABC. We want to know about you, but we want to know how it's going to relate to your course.
Okay, thank you for that, Sally. So hopefully that's giving you a nice overview of how to write a suitable personal statement. Once we do receive one, we will always go through it, and if we do think it needs some improvements, we will let you know, but hopefully that gives you a good idea of how to do it in the first instance. So what we're going to do now is just talk in general about the University of South Wales and give you a brief introduction to us, our location, where we're based, and the kind of activities and things that you'd experience studying with us. So South Wales University is actually quite new in name. We were a merger between the University of Glamorgan and the University of Newport, which happened in 2013. So we actually became a super university, one of the largest universities in the UK, and we now have over 33,000 students studying across our 4 main campuses in South Wales. South Wales itself is a very beautiful area, so you can see some of the images on the screen here, that we're very lucky in terms of the landscape around us. So we've got beautiful national parks, so there's lots of places to go walking, hiking and camping. We've got lots of history and culture, so we've got more castles per square mile than any other country in the world. So if you enjoy learning about the local history, it really is a fantastic place to explore. We've also got areas like the coastline. We've got the Gower Peninsula, which is a coastline of about 40 miles worth of golden sand beaches, and that's only half an hour's drive from the university. And we also are right in the heart of the busy area of South Wales. So we've got Cardiff, the capital city of Wales, only 15 minutes away from our main campus. We've also got a campus in Cardiff itself, the atrium. So in terms of location, you've got a bit of everything on your doorstep. You've got the fantastic nightlife, the restaurants and the culture to experience. You've got the shopping, but you've got all the extracurricular activities you could want on your doorstep as well. So what we're going to do is talk to you a little bit about some of the campuses. I'm actually a graduate of this university, and I believe
As am I.
Sally is as well. So we are both coming from an experience where we can really talk about the kind of practical side of living and studying in South Wales. So I actually studied on this campus, the Treforest campus, which is the main university campus. And this is where we have our business, our engineering, our law, and some of our humanities programs as well. I believe you also.
Yeah, I studied business management here as well. And this is also where we are right now on the Treforest campus. This is where our international office is. The Treforest campus has everything that you need. On the campus, you've got 24-hour security, so it's very safe for our students. You have a gym, a library that's open 24 hours a day, a sports centre, restaurants, and for our Muslim students we have halal foods, we have prayer rooms, we even have a Starbucks on campus. You also have clubs and societies, a students' union, and the train station is actually only 2 minutes walk away, so you really don't need to worry about transportation because there are plenty of buses, and like I say, the train station is very close by. So should you want to go into Cardiff, it's only 20 minutes away on the train.
We've also actually got a head as well. We've also got student letting agencies, both through the student union and externally. So Treforest is virtually a student city now. So I'd say probably 80% of the residents in Treforest itself are students, and obviously 20% will be local residents. So it's a nice mixture, but the nice thing about studying here is that we have students from all over the world. So it's a very multicultural environment. There's lots of activities to see and do throughout the year. So recently we celebrated Diwali. We have activities like Chinese New Year that we'll celebrate throughout the year. And all the students come together and actually learn about each other's cultures that way. And it's quite nice. You make lots of, which is really, really nice. There's a mixture of accommodation available, both private sector and on campus. And we'll actually be coming back to that later in the presentation. For now, we'll move on to the next slide. So this is our Cardiff campus, and this is our Creative Industries building, and it's known as the Atrium. So this is where students will be studying lots of exciting and dynamic subject areas such as art and dance, drama, theatre, journalism, design, fashion. So it's a really nice, exciting and bubbly atmosphere there.
We also have professional courses there. So we have our accounting and finance there as well. So we have a trading stock floor. So it's actually in the heart of the Cardiff city centre. So actually it's in the central business district. So students have hands-on experience of working and dealing with the public, the general public, in the financial centre that we have, and students are actually there to give advice to the general public under supervision of the lecturers as well.
The thing that I've always liked about the atrium is when you go down and visit to maybe take a guest on a tour, or to go to see your friends studying down there, you see how many of the students are actually working together from different disciplines. So for example, one of our film students is obviously making to make the film, he's going to need some help. He's going to maybe need some actors from the dance and drama programs coming in and being the actors for him. He may want to put a soundtrack behind the movie. So that's when he'll speak to the music and the sound engineering guys, and they can potentially come up with a score to accompany the video itself. Again, the fashion students may actually design some of the costumes for the cast, and again, film set design as well. So it's a really nice inclusive atmosphere. Students get to work together as they will in the industry, and that's the key thing here. We want you to have an industry experience. What's it like to be in the real world? All these kind of professions coming together for a common goal. And it's also a great networking opportunity. So once you have worked with someone on one of these projects, in the future, you may be in the industry, you're actually producing your first feature film, and you think, well, actually, yeah, this guy I worked with back in university, he was fantastic in sound engineering, and I need him for this project. So we try and keep you in touch with each other. You're always a member of this university. You join our alumni, and you've got a contact database, effectively, of people all over the world that can help you in any business venture that you go into in the future. And
everything that David's just explained, it happens at least, several times a year, but every year we have a fashion show. So this is when all the students come together, like David said. You've got drama students, you've got the music students, you've got the film students filming the fashion show. So it really is a very integrated campus where you all work together.
Yeah.
Then we have NUPUS. So this is where we teach education, social work, and also ACCA and some professional courses as well. And this is right on the riverfront. And the accommodation block at Newport City campus is literally, I think, between 3 and 5 minute walk away. So again, very central to the centre. And Newport City is actually having a lot of regeneration at the moment. There's been a lot of money being pumped into the city to make it even better for you. And again, that's only 20 minutes away from Cardiff city centre. So you have 2 big city centres right on your doorstep.
As Sally said, there's quite a lot of regeneration happening in Newport. In 2010, Wales and the Celtic Manor at Newport hosted the Ryder Cup, which is the huge global golf competition between USA and Europe. And because of that, lots of big businesses from all over the world brought lots of their stakeholders to visit the city, to obviously go to see the golf. And because of that, they identified Newport and South Wales in general as an area where they saw a lot of potential for investment. So over the last 4 to 5 years, we've seen more and more big businesses starting to make offshoots of their companies there and putting different things in place. So for example, Pinewood Studios, who make the James Bond films, have recently opened a large site, and they've actually been filming for the recent launch of Spectre. That's part of that was filmed in South Wales. So there's lots of exciting things happening in the local area at the moment. And this is a brand new campus, and it really is lovely to look around on the inside. So the student experience, and this is kind of where I really like to start talking, and I'll probably get told to be quiet at some point because I will carry on. As I said earlier, I am a graduate of this university and a very proud one at that. And I think the reason I've had such a good time here is because I really embrace the student experience. For me, when you study, the most important thing at the end of the day is your degree, because ultimately that is what you've come to obtain, and it's going to be your stepping stone into the industry. However, how do you make yourself stand out from every other graduate? I think the answer to that is getting involved in activities. It's making the most of all the opportunities that arise and trying new things as well. So if you are able to juggle your hectic work schedule, maybe you're doing some part-time work alongside that as well, and also you can do activities alongside of that, it's showing that you've actually got time management skills, and that's a desirable quality. Again, a lot of the time with your coursework, you'll be working independently, Not all of the time, there will be some group projects as well. But again, if you can show that you're an outgoing person that can work as part of a sports team or is involved in a society group, maybe you could be the chairman of one of the societies, or you could be the secretary. So gaining these extracurricular activities on your CV really does kind of help you to diversify and show that you are an all-rounder. And that's the kind of thing that employers will look for from the graduates. When students arrive at the university, particularly international students, we have an international welcome week. So first and foremost, we'll actually meet and greet you at the airport. So if you'd like us to, you drop an email to us and say, I'm arriving on this flight at this time at this airport, and we'll actually have someone in place to meet you, which is always reassuring, so you know you're safe when you arrive. They'll bring you directly to the university campus, and the International Welcome Programme then will start. And that's when our colleagues in the international team will put on a range of activities over about 10 days for you to get used to the campus environment, to learn about where you'll be enrolling, the various locations of food outlets and shopping facilities in the local area, and generally to see some local tourist attractions. It's a really, really nice time of year. We also get involved as the international recruitment team. We'll come down.
A meal with you.
Yeah, which is that's the really rewarding time of the year for us, when we actually start to see some of the guys we've met out overseas, and they've actually got their visa. They come to join us at the university, and it's really nice to kind of see it, and they're happy with their own eyes, which is really nice. My favourite part, I think, is when, for example, September, we've had our new batch of students, and we had some of our Feb start students being our global assistants. They've really grown over the last few months, and they're confident now, and they can actually take the new students around the campus. And that will happen again in February. Our brand new September intake, everyone arrives, they're slightly nervous, getting used to everything. But by February, they're so confident, you'll be actually shown around by these new batch of students, which is really nice to see.
One of the questions that we're asked a lot is, how much is it going to cost you to actually study here and live here? So obviously, what we don't want you to do is be worrying about money. So it's important that you prepare and you're aware of how much it's actually going to cost you. So for your visa, actually, you're going to need to demonstrate that you have around £1,015 in your bank account before you apply for your visa for 9 months. But realistically, it's not going to cost you that much. Living in South Wales, it offers a very high standard of living, but it is also a very low cost of living area as well. And when we talk about a high standard of living, we'll be able to explain that a little bit better when we move on to the accommodation slide. But if you were looking at a monthly living cost to include your accommodation, so living on campus, your food, your laundry, your books, your moderate socializing, everything that you would need, basically, you would be looking at around £650 to £700. That would be ample. It really does depend on your lifestyle. But if you were sensible and still, we don't want you to be having your head in the books 24 hours a day. You're here to have a very good experience and experience things that you wouldn't necessarily be able to experience in your home country. But by having £650 to £700 per month, that would be all that you would need, basically, to cover all of your expenses.
On top of that, you can do part-time work as part of your student visa. So on the Tier 4 student visa, you can actually do 20 hours of part-time work a week alongside your studies. And we would estimate that for the 20 hours of part-time work, at approximately £6.50 an hour, you're going to be earning roughly £150 a week. So across the course of a month, 4 weeks, it would be approximately £600. So if your outgoings are between 6 and 7, and you're only earning 6, realistically, you're only going to be spending between £50 and £100 if you're living on a kind of sensible, balanced kind of outgoings. Obviously, if you're going out partying too much, or if you go and buy a car, that's something we're not going to factor into that equation. But on a kind of sensible diet and on decent accommodation, you'll be able to live comfortably on that money.
Yeah, so you're allowed to work 20 hours a week. But what we need you to understand is that you're primarily here for your education. So it's important that you prioritize your education and don't spend too much time working in the fact that your education suffers. So it's about getting that balance, and, as we've mentioned before, time management skills.
Yeah. So
go on.
So one more thing. So the university has always been really active. I myself, when I studied here, I was involved with the hockey team. I was captain of the hockey team for a few years. I was on the student council and involved in various different activities. So I always tried to get involved with these and made lots of friends that way, and really enjoyed my time here. So we have something like 50 different sports you can play competitively and represent the university and actually travel around the UK and challenge other universities to games. Or alternatively, there's lots of sports you can just play for fun. So it may be that you fancy trying basketball one day, or it may be rock climbing, it may even be belly dancing. There's lots of different things out there. And there's also just as many societies. So we've got everything from an international student society to a biscuit appreciation society. So there really is something out there for everyone. So depending on your hobbies and your interests, you can meet like-minded students and obviously have good fun working with them.
And if there is no club or society that you're interested in, you find some people that also share that interest and you can create your own club or society. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Mm-hmm. What we also do as a university is we organise trips for our students. So we take you, we did a trip this year up to Stratford-upon-Avon, so you can learn all about Shakespeare. And I know that there is a trip organised locally, not by the university, but there is one being organised locally for New Year's Eve. So some of my students are paying just £100 for a night in a 4-star hotel in London. It includes the bus transfer up there. It includes tickets to see the fireworks on New Year's Eve. So there's lots of trips that you can participate in, so you can get to see as much of the UK as possible. And one of the benefits that we have being in South Wales is the fact that you've got Cardiff International Airport just half an hour away, and Bristol International Airport, which is around 40 to 50 minutes away. So what a lot of our students do, whether it's a long weekend or perhaps in the holidays, you can actually get some very low-cost flights by using the low-cost airlines such as EasyJet, Ryanair, and you can go and explore cities in Europe. So a lot of our students do that. They make the most of that, and they quite often go together and just have a bit of a tour around Europe. So it is about making the most of your time here while you are here, because it will go so quickly. You'll be surprised at how quickly the time goes while you're studying here.
Okay. So as we mentioned earlier, there's a couple of different options available for you at each campus. You've got the option to live on campus, on-site accommodation, or there's private sector accommodation. I generally would say, if you're a mature student, maybe coming onto a postgraduate course, or maybe you've been living away from home for a couple of years and you're quite used to that lifestyle, then I would go straight off campus because it is slightly cheaper. Particularly around the Treforest campus, our rent prices are between £45 and £65 per week. And comparatively across the UK, that is really low. There's very few out there that can compete with that kind of price. But as we said earlier, the quality is still really high. So they're nice houses, but at good affordable prices. Private sector housing, you'll generally live between 3 and 5 people per house. You'd obviously have your own private bedrooms each, either a single or double bed, depending on how much you wanted to spend. And then you'd share a bathroom.
No, you wouldn't. The bathrooms are all en suite.
Sorry, I'm off campus.
Oh, off campus, sorry.
So we're fighting amongst ourselves here. So off campus, you'd share a bathroom between the housemates. You'd share the kitchen and a nice lounge and potentially a garden as well. So you do get a bit more space off campus, and that's between £45 and £65 per week. Alternatively, I'll let Sal, because she seems excited about on campus, so Sal can take over.
On campus, you would have your own bedroom, and that would be just your bedroom. There's no sharing of bedrooms unless you wanted to go for a shared micro flat, and that would be usually for husband and wife that were coming to study together. But you would get your own bedroom and your own ensuite bathroom as well, and there'll be probably 5 or 6 of you in a block. And in that block, you would share the kitchen and the living area. So should you want to do your own cooking, you've got the facilities to do that on campus. Alternatively, you can use the restaurants on campus or in the local area. So locally, we've got things like an Italian restaurant. We've got takeaways, Indian and Chinese. We've got a Chinese supermarket. And in Cardiff, you've got a lot of the Asian food supermarkets as well. So it's very safe for students on campus. Included in your price would be your Wi-Fi, water and electric bills as well. So it's a good idea for somebody that's, you know, first time away from home, maybe they're, you know, 17, 18 years old. It just gives a bit of peace of mind. You're on campus already. There's 24-hour security. So it is a very safe environment for our students.
And that's where you make so many friends. I mean, that is one of the real advantages of living on campus, that you'll have 6 people, as Sally says, per block, and there's generally 2 blocks per floor and maybe 6 floors in each flat. So effectively, there's around about 36 people living in one of our buildings, and we've got around about 50 to 60 accommodation blocks on the Treforest campus alone. So you can imagine you're going to be living with a couple of thousand people in a very close proximity. So you're going to meet people on a regular basis, make lots of different friends in your course. If you join the extracurricular activities, again, you're going to make friends. So that's when you can start to think about it over the first year. Who do I want to live in the first year? I know Sally's a fantastic cook, so Sally's up there as a good contender to live with. However, I'm really messy, so Sally's actually thinking, he's probably going to eat my food and probably going to make a mess. So it's trying to find the right balance of people who've got obviously similar activities. If I like playing guitar at 3 o'clock in the morning, but Sally likes going to bed at 9 o'clock and getting a good night's sleep, again, we're going to clash. So it's finding who's right for each other, and obviously who's going to be able to look after you and each other.
We also have an accommodation office on campus. So should you need any help in finding off-campus accommodation or finding people that are similar to you, we have staff that can do that and help you.
Yeah. Okay.
And these are just some pictures to give you an idea. So you can see the shared kitchen, and there's sofas in there, and there'll be a TV in there, and there'll be cupboards with locks on. So each of you will get your own cupboard with a lock on it. So in student accommodation, it is quite common for food to go walkabouts. So I would say lock your food up, otherwise you may find that it's gone. And then you can see the ensuite bathroom there. So you'll have a shower, your toilet and your wash basin. And then you've got your study bedroom as well. So a desk and a bed in there, and wardrobe space as well.
Okay. So that's giving you guys a little bit of an overview about the university, and obviously we're going to be coming on to some questions next. But first and foremost, we'll tell you one of the more important kind of areas, and obviously that's the tuition fees that you would be paying to study with us at the university. So as I said earlier, I look after the Indian subcontinent, and Sally looks after Southeast Asia. So we look after slightly different remits, but ultimately similar pricing structures that we have. So for a student from my region, we would actually have an international development scholarship. So if you're from India, there's a list of 20 countries actually at the bottom of your screen. So you can see these are the ones that have been targeted for the international development scholarship. So Bangladesh, Brazil, Cameroon, Colombia, India, Kazakhstan, Kenya, Mexico, Nepal, Nigeria, Russia, South Korea, Sri Lanka, Taiwan, Tanzania, Thailand, Turkey, Uganda, Vietnam, Zambia, and Zimbabwe. So all of these areas have been given the International Development Scholarship, which is by our Chancellor, the Right Honourable Rowan Williams. And this is a £2,500 scholarship per year against the undergraduate tuition fee. So after scholarship, you would actually pay £9,400 a year. The good thing with this scholarship is not just an introductory offer, you actually will get this for each year of the programme. So across a 3-year undergraduate programme, you'll actually save £7,500. Postgraduate, we also have a £2,000 scholarship, and that reduces the fee from £12,600 down to £10,600. And finally, for MBA programme, it would normally cost £12,900, but we have a £1,500 scholarship, and it reduces it down to £11,400 per year.
So for my area, Southeast Asia, the majority of my students wouldn't actually qualify for the International Development Scholarship. It would only be Vietnamese and Thai students that would qualify for that £2,500. However, if you're coming from Malaysia, Singapore, Brunei, all the other countries that I mentioned initially, then actually you would get £1,500 per year for your scholarship. So this reduces your fees down to £10,400 for undergraduate study. And I'm sure a lot of you are thinking, how do I get this scholarship? It is a very simple process, to be honest. The only criteria you need in order to get this scholarship is that you have to be self-funded. So that means that if you or your family are paying your own tuition fees, we will automatically award you with this scholarship on your offer letter. If you're lucky enough to be sponsored by a government or an employer, we wouldn't give you this scholarship because your fees would be covered by your employer or the government anyway. So when you complete an application to study with us, one of the questions we ask you is who will pay your fees? And if you tick the box that says myself or my family, we know to award you that scholarship. If you tick the box that says the government or an employer is going to be paying your fees, we know not to award you that scholarship. So it is automatic.
Yeah. And again, as long as you've met the entry requirements and get the unconditional offer, you're guaranteed to receive those scholarships. The postgraduate and the MBA scholarship, however, are applicable across all of our markets.
Yes.
So postgraduate study, you are guaranteed to get the £2,000 scholarship, and it will be £10,600. MBA will be £1,500 scholarship, and be £11,400 after the scholarship. Okay, well, I think that brings us to the end of our presentation. So what we'd like to do now is to look through some of the questions that you've kindly selected and given us, and then we'll be happy to answer those. Obviously, we're going to keep talking for about 20 minutes or so. So if there are any other questions you would like to ask, then we'll be happy to receive those again whilst we're talking through. Okay. So we'll take it down in order. Obviously, we will have actually covered some of these areas. We'll just acknowledge, but I think we may have already covered, but some we will go through into a bit more detail. So the first question is from Kamal Mehta. So thank you, Kamal. Is there any kind of part-time jobs available for students studying in USW? Quite simply, yes. We are, like we said, we're based by 2 major cities in the UK, and there is a huge range of opportunities out there. So if you think of a big Delhi, how many different types of jobs there would be out there? There's just as many available in South Wales. It may be working in a restaurant, it may be working in a cinema, in a health club, it could be anything. As long as you're only doing 20 hours maximum per week in part-time work, you can do anything you want to do alongside your studies. Obviously, anything legal. We don't, but we also have a campus job advice shop, and they can tell you some of the kind of local companies that are recruiting. We also hold job fairs once a semester on campuses, so there will be opportunities to meet with the university campus, and that's a chance to impress them. The one thing I always say to my applicants is I don't want you to come to the university, study your program, and then think about the last 4 months of my visa, I'm going to start looking for jobs. Because you give yourself just a fraction of the time to find an opportunity. From day one, before you even leave your home city. When you get on the plane, say hello to the person on your left-hand side, introduce yourself, this is me, this is what I do. Say hello to the person on your right-hand side. It may be this person is the director of a company in the industry you want to work in, and you may have missed a fantastic opportunity by just sitting there, putting your headphones on and watching the TV screen. So it's getting in the mindset of being proactive. Don't just wait to see what's out there. Go and find what's out there. So go and knock on people's doors, not like people's houses, but go to like companies, go introduce yourself, drop them an email and say, this is me, this is what I'm studying, this is what I'd like to do. Would you have an opportunity? So create your own opportunities, as well as obviously relying on the fact there is information out there for you.
Okay. So is there any other scholarship other than the Schevening UK scholarship for Southeast Asian students? No, the scholarships we've just talked about are the ones that are only available at the University of South Wales. There is one more, a sports scholarship. So if you play professionally for your country, it could be that you're eligible for our sports scholarship. But generally, we've just got the scholarships that we talked about. So for undergraduate study, it's either £1,500 or £2,500 per year. For MBA, it's £1,500, and for postgraduate, it's £2,000. But I would definitely recommend that you look into the Chevening Scholarship. We've had several international students come to study with us who have been successful in being awarded the Chevening Scholarship, so it's definitely worth applying.
Yeah, definitely.
So thanks for that question.
Okay. So the next question was about the qualifications that you have to obtain to apply aircraft engineering at USW. So thank you very much, Sharuka, for your question. It depends very much on what you've been studying previously. So ultimately, if we're looking at my area, we would look at a 12th standard result. We'd want to see 65% as the average profile, and we want to see you coming from a science and mathematics background. If you've been doing dance, drama and art, then to be honest, it's probably not the kind of profile we're looking for direct entry onto that program. So as long as you've been coming from a mathematics and a science-based background, then it should generally be a suitable route onto the course. Later on, you will be given access to our contact details. So if you would like to drop us an email with some information about what you've been studying, we can certainly try and map up what you've done and make sure that you are following the right kind of stream to come onto that program there. But it is very exciting engineering with us. It's one of our flagship programs. So any questions you want, just let us know, and we'll be happy to follow up with that there.
And I'd just add, if you haven't got a science background or a mathematics background, we do have foundation years that could be applicable for you. So the foundation year is an extra year of study, and it would give you the science and the maths background that you need to progress onto year one of the program. But we can't see which country you're from, so the best thing to do, what we have on our on the international website, if you scroll down the page a little bit, you can go and see the countries, and if you click on your own country, it will give you an outline of the qualifications and the grades that we would need from you. But like David said, you feel free to contact us at the end of this session, and we can answer your specific questions, or should you want to send us your transcripts, we can have a look for you.
Okay, so the next question is from Vignesh. As with school accommodation, what would you recommend? And if I would like to stay in a private sector house, will the entire home be run by the students, or will be local families staying in the house? Okay, so good question. Again, it depends on obviously your background. If you've been living independently before, I would say I'd strongly recommend living off campus because it will be considerably cheaper. In regards to the house itself, it will be run obviously by either the landlord who owns the property. So it means you can't make any alterations. You can't knock a wall down and make a large bedroom dining room if you wanted to. You'd obviously have to ask permission to make changes, but generally you'll live on your own with other students in the house. So you will effectively be responsible for the house. You will be doing the cooking, the cleaning, the tidying, and obviously there'll be furniture in the house. So it'll be coming in, there'll be obviously beds, there'll be TVs, there'll be bookcases, all these things. But anything else you want to buy, you're welcome to use and kind of set up in the house as well. So when you're living in the house, it really is your own house for the year, or as long as you want to keep that house. Contracts are anywhere between 9 and 12 months generally. As we said, we've got our own university services that will help you find private sector accommodation. There are some external ones as well. So there's lots of opportunities. What I'd always recommend though is when you come to the UK, don't necessarily have to sign up for a house without even seeing it. I would book a night or two in a hotel, arrive, and then you've got somewhere to stay for the first day or so, and then you can relax after the long journey. Almost you won't appreciate how tiring the journey is at times until you get it. You won't want to go straight around looking at houses, carrying this stuff around with you. So having a roof over your head the first night is really important. Then the second day, you can go and view 2 or 3 or 4 options, and then you can make a decision on which one you're happy to live in. Also, we can get you to meet other students before you potentially sign a contract, and you can see if you're going to hit it off when you join the university. I hope that's given you a bit of an idea about that.
Okay. Next question is the price included for books? So your tuition fees that we talked about does not include books. However, we do have a very well-stocked library that's open 24 hours a day. So any books that you need will be available in the library. There will be a reading list available for your course. However, we don't recommend that you go out and buy every single book on that reading list. There's no need for it. When you get to the university, you meet with your lecturers. What they'll do is they'll have a reading list and they will recommend the best ones for you. So it won't necessarily be every single book on that list. It's not productive for you to buy all of those books. You can hire some from the library. You may find that your friends, you buy one, your friend buys another one, and you share them between you. So unfortunately, the tuition fees does not include books. But there are options for you to rent them, and also you can buy them secondhand a lot of the time as well.
A lot of students that have previously studied in the first or the second year before you will actually think, well, actually, I need a new textbook this year. I can sell last year's book on to a new student. Then they get the benefit from that. They save, they get some of their money back, and the money goes towards their next book. So across the course of the years, a lot of people will move and pass books along to their colleagues and obviously friends on the course. And also, as Sally was saying, we've got an extensive library, but we've also got a very good online set of journals and articles you can download for your research as well. So there are lots of different things you can get the reading material. And also, we're very fortunate. We live in a really technological savvy age. Obviously, we've got really good Wi-Fi connection, 24-hour-a-day computer labs. So there's lots of access to information off the internet as well. So lots of things that can support your studying. And also, you'll get course handouts. So there will be some handouts given to you in some of your programs as well. So you probably get some written information to use for some of your assignments.
Okay. Sorry, do you want to do this one?
Yeah. So sport clubs and facilities in the USW are free for students. Some are and some aren't is the simple answer. In terms of joining one of the sports teams for the university, it would generally cost around about £100 for the year. But for that price, you get access. First of all, you get your kit, your university playing. You'll get your free bus travel to home and away games. You get your insurance as well, and that covers your training costs as well. So over the course of a year, £100 is very, very minimal. So you will benefit from doing that. Again, if it's something like the Ski and Snow Society, then there probably will be a trip throughout the year. And that's something that you would have to fund if you wanted to go on it. So we wouldn't be able to throw in a £200, £300 trip to France to go skiing. That would be something you would do. However, in the Debate Society, you may pay something like a £1 or a £2 membership charge at the start of the year, but realistically, the outgoings, apart from travel costs, are going to be quite minimal. So it just depends on obviously the activity that you're doing. With sports, though, there are options to hire. There's options to hire things like tennis rackets or squash rackets and things when you are playing. And again, there's lots of students that are graduating that are still in the local area that are often selling kind of equipment and things that they don't necessarily need once they've left. So there is ways to pick up secondhand things as well to make it quite cheap to get back involved with activities.
And then if you were looking simply just to join the gym, what you can do is you can either pay as you go. It works out a little bit more expensive, but you can pay each time you go. So if you were a little bit more disorganized and know that you're not going to be going regularly every week, you might decide to pay as you go. And I think it's around £3.50 per session. However, if you know that you're going to go regularly, you might decide to have a membership. So you would pay a membership each year, and then you would get discounted prices each time you go. So it will either be £1 or £2 each time you decide to go to the gym or play badminton or whatever you want to do. So those prices are discounted for students.
Yeah. Okay, hopefully that's answered the question for you then.
The online application, is it essential to enter details of one's work experience? Yes, it is. We need to be sure that we know what you've done between work opportunities, and also if you've finished your degree, for example, in 2008, we need to know what you've been doing since you finished your degree. But also by entering your work experience, it's going to allow us to assess your application with more knowledge. So we'll be able to see, perhaps you haven't met the entry requirements, you're just a little bit short, for example. Then we might say, well, actually, you've got 5 years work experience in the industry. We can consider you on an individual basis. So it is really important that you give us as much information as possible. And where possible, if you can submit a CV to support your application, that will really help us as well.
If you have just recently graduated though and you generally don't have any work experience, that's not necessarily an issue. So basically, it becomes more important when you have narrowly missed an entry requirement academically, or there has been quite a backlog between the period of time that you haven't been studying. So it's just filling the gaps in, really. But if there are any specific questions, obviously when you do launch an application in the future, we can obviously guide you through each step of the process. We work with a mixture of agents, and we also accept direct applications, so you can get one of our registered agents to assist you in launching an application to the university, or equally you can apply directly yourself and we'd guide you through that process. Okay, I think we've already covered this question, so we'll skip through this one. We've already covered that once. Is there an age limit to enroll onto an undergraduate course? In theory, no. Ultimately, when applying for a student visa, we need to demonstrate a genuine intent to study, to show that obviously we're confident that your genuine intention is purely the academics. If, however, it's someone that's coming with like 35 years of experience and now is looking at an undergraduate degree, then we probably are going to be a little bit hesitant. We will look to interview directly and kind of talk to you through the merits and the kind of negatives about applying. But ultimately, we welcome applications from everywhere. So we'll certainly be happy to receive the application and then look to guide you further on that. But in theory, there isn't really an upper age limit to any education. Life is about learning. You're never going to stop learning. So we try and open the doors for everyone to have that opportunity.
Going the other way, normally students would be 18. So normally students are 18 when they come to us, but we do have some students that are younger than 18. So as long as you meet the entry requirements, then we will see if we can enroll you onto the program. However, if you're 17, you would do what's called a risk assessment. We need going to be safe while you're here under the age of 18. So it's nothing that you need to do. It's something we need to do paperwork wise, so you don't need to worry about that. But we do have students of all ages, usually from as young as 17 and then even up to 65 plus. So we have a whole range of students.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so next question is from Vignesh. So once the deposit for school fees has been paid and once the video interview has been completed, when will we know the results if I'm officially offered a placement in the university? After which, what will be the next step?
Okay, I think I know Vignesh. You've applied for nursing, I believe. So you'll need to do an interview, what's called a Kira interview, for your nursing. So usually as soon as you've submitted your Kira interview, we would hope to have a decision within the next 48 hours on whether or not you've been successful in getting a place on the course. And once you have that decision and you've got your unconditional offer, we will then invite you to pay your deposit for your fees. So it's pretty good.
Okay. So, Jagdish, the course I'm interested in begins in Feb 2016. What is the last date for filling your online application form? To be honest,
14th.
Sorry?
14th of December.
There we are. That's the definitive answer.
Yeah.
The 14th of December is the very latest. However, I would strongly suggest to make the application as soon as possible. We want you to be in a position where once you've got your offer letter, you've made your deposit, you've secured your place, you can file for your visa straight away. Generally speaking, you can do that a maximum of 3 months before the start of a course. So we try and enable you to do that. It gives you the full 3 months, and generally speaking, it'll be done quite quickly, and then you can relax for the last month and a half, 2 months, knowing that you'll be traveling on this date, arriving on this date, and you can put plans into place. The later you leave it, obviously the longer it takes to process, then your funds need to mature in your account. And then once we've released the cash, you have to apply for the visa. Once you finally get your visa interview date and past that, you have to wait for your visa to come back. So potentially the closer it gets towards the deadline of enrollment in February, the more stressful it is for you. We don't want you to be in a position where you think, do I need to quit my job? Should I stay in my job for the moment? Do I need to arrange my travel? Should I not book a flight at the moment? So by giving yourself the maximum amount of time, obviously it's a more comfortable position for all of us. So we'd encourage you to do so. If you are interested, obviously we're happy to help you. So make the application as soon as you can, either on your own via the international page, or by contacting one of our registered agents, and they can launch the application for you. Okay.
Okay, next question. So does University of South Wales have insurance for students? We don't, but you are required when you apply for your visa to actually, as an international student, you need to pay £150 per year. So this will give you cover during your studies with the National Health Service in the UK. So should you need medication or hospital treatment, you know that you've got that peace of mind, you're covered. So it's £150 per year, and a 3-year course, then you would pay...
You pay 3 years worth of 150 plus another half year to cover the 3 years, 4 months of your visa. So it'd be 150 times 3, so 450, and then plus 75 for the half year. So it'd be 525 you'd pay as your NH surcharge for a full undergraduate program in the UK. That would be the standard amount you pay.
It's going to give you peace of mind. Should you fall ill, any medication you need, it's all covered. You don't pay separately for that medication. So the hospital and doctor's treatment that you receive here is of very high standard. So you definitely have that peace of mind.
When I tell people about this, I think obviously to hear they have to pay some extra money is obviously not ideal. But what I always try and tell them on the brighter side is if you think about America, if you went there and you broke your arm, it's probably going to cost you a couple of £1,000 or a couple of $1,000 for the whole process, because there's the medical fees, there's the actual kind of charges for the actual bandages, there's charges go back for checkups, then there's the physiotherapy. So throughout the whole process, it's going to cost you a lot of money. Whereas if you were in the UK and you've paid your one-off charge, you could break your arm 1 week, you could break your leg the next week, you break your other arm. Obviously don't do this, but if you break everything in your body, eventually it's only going to cost you £525. It's a bargain. So when you compare us to America, it's so much cheaper, and we've got the support in place to obviously help you with any problem. But obviously we want you to stay safe and healthy, obviously. But if something does happen, you know that there's not going to be any nasty surprises. There's not going to be a nasty bill waiting for your family or for yourself if you did have an accident. So whilst it is obviously a pain up front, you know in the long term, you've got 3.5 years where you know whatever happens, you're covered. We have support on campus for you. We've got our own nurse on campus. We've got local doctor surgery as well, which we're kind of recognised with. So students can join on there. And equally, we've got lots of kind of accident and emergency units and hospitals should you ever need them in the local area. And there's a very good response time as well. So if there is an emergency, generally speaking, within 10-15 minutes, the ambulance will be with you and you'll be on your way to hospital should you need to be. Obviously, fingers crossed we'll never need to talk about this again.
Okay, next question. I'm an international student. This is Albie, and you're interested in law. Wondering if you prefer applicants with A-level 3 or 4 A-levels. Besides that, does the applicant with maths for A-level have an average over an applicant that doesn't? Okay, with our LLB law program, we look for 3 Bs at A-level. So that's the equivalent to 300 UCAS points. We don't request that you have any specific subject. So your question about maths, no, somebody that has maths would not be an advantage over yourself. With regards to the fact that you're asking if you could do 3 or 4 A-levels, it's completely up to you. We only look for 3. So you may decide actually to do 3 and do 3 really good A-levels, or the fact is if you do 4, you could be stretching yourself that little bit too much, so you might have 4 weaker A-levels. So it is up to you, really.
It's a balancing act. There's no right or wrong. Ultimately, you could get 2 Ds and 2 Bs, and that would be the same roughly as 300 points. So, or you could get 4 As and obviously score a huge amount of points. So it just depends. Obviously, if you are doing the 4, just be mindful to make sure you spend time on all of them. Try and do as well as you can. Otherwise, if you can drop one and concentrate on your 3 pure subjects, you probably will find it's easier to not stretch yourself so thinly. But there's no right or wrong answer, and there's no prerequisites of what you have to study. So you should be absolutely fine with that. Okay.
Okay, next question. Will the university help students after graduation to meet employers or find a job?
I think we've said that a couple of times now. So as we said earlier, we've got quite a few different ways that we do help you with that. We've got guest lecturers coming in, great opportunities to network. We've got careers guidance counsellors. We have on-site job fairs where employers are coming in to recruit students. Our course leaders will be notified by companies they're looking for a new HR manager. Can you tell all your HR students who might be interested to apply? They then will shortlist maybe 5 of the 10 applicants to interview. So there's lots of opportunity. Unfortunately, no guarantees of a post-study work opportunity at the moment. It's the same as it is in the real world. It's dog eat dog. It's kind of best person versus best person. If you are the best applicant for the job, you've got the best degree, the best experience, you will get the job. There is no job racism. Ultimately, it's a simple case of the best candidate will get the job. If, however, you don't get a job in the UK and unfortunately your visa is coming to obviously expiry, you'll return home. The thing you'll know, though, is a UK degree is valid across the world. It's recognised as a reputable and strong degree. So just because an opportunity hasn't arisen straight away in the UK doesn't mean that, oh, I have to go back and stay indefinitely where I maybe permanent residency in Australia or in US with this qualification you've obtained, gain some work experience on top of that, and you're going to look at like a very desirable graduate. So there's lots of opportunities, and ultimately we'll try and give you the best opportunity to source something, whatever that is you're looking for.
Okay.
So I think we'll skip that question because it's Sharuka, your question, what the qualifications do I need before applying? That's a very open-ended question. It depends if you're undergraduate or postgraduate, and it depends which country you're coming from. So I think it's probably better if you'd want to drop us an email directly. If you're from my market, then it's david.joyce@southwales.ac.uk. If it's from Sally's, it's sally.jones@southwales.ac.uk. Our email address will be available at the end of this broadcast on the links. So just drop us an email directly and we'll be happy to look at your background and try and match up what you're looking for. Thank you.
Next question. On the online application, why are there 2 empty spaces to write a maximum of 400 words in the personal statement?
I think that's quite simply, if you can't do it within 400 and it's going to be 600, put half in one and half in the other box. I think they just were stuck for size on the boxes. So ultimately, it's going to be all one personal statement. We're not looking for 2 separate personal statements. So just if your personal statement is too long, just put half of it into the other one and it'll be put together. I think it's as simple as that, to be honest.
Okay.
So we've covered that one. If I don't have any certification and wanting to apply for the scholarship, so again, it's kind of a bit of a relatively vague question, so I'm not exactly sure what you mean by that.
What we talked about was the scholarships. You don't need any specific qualification to actually be eligible for the scholarship. To actually be awarded the scholarship, all you need to do is be a self-funded student. So obviously you need to meet the entry requirements of the course in the first place to be able to get a place on the course. But if you or your family are paying for your own tuition fees, you will automatically be awarded with that scholarship. So as long as you meet the conditions of the course, the entry requirements, then you know you're going to get that scholarship. There is no separate application form. We're not looking for any separate certification. You just need to submit your usual documents, so your 1 reference, your personal statement, your proof of English language, and your certificates and transcripts from your previous qualifications. That's all we're looking for.
Okay. Thank you, Anu.
I think that one's just
skip that one
as well.
Skip that one. Yeah, I'll take that one. Okay, so Jadish asking about, he's a self-employed professional intending to study further, and asking about references that he wants to submit. Yeah, so basically we're happy to look at your full kind of CV, your full background, your full history. We certainly will take into account references that are kind of from a few years ago. However, we would like to see what you've been up to most recently, and obviously have a recent reference, and that will be the one that is really important to see what you've been doing since you've either been since you graduated and you're now working. So we'd want to see what's a recent reference to show us what you've been up to and the kind of performance you've been putting in over the last 12 months, really. So whilst we will certainly be happy to look at a full range of your background and your kind of history, ultimately we want to see kind of your highest qualification is the most important to us, your most recent English qualification is the most important to us, and equally the most recent reference is the one that's going to be the crux of the offer letter. Okay.
Okay, so go down to Kamal.
Done that one.
What scholarships can a student from India apply for in MSc Clinical and Abnormal Psychology, and when do the applications start? So for all master's programs, the scholarships are £2,000 no matter what country you're from as an international student. So the applications are actually open now for September 2016, and if it's available in February, the application deadline hasn't passed yet, so we're still open for applications in February. So yeah,
if you are interested, Komal, make your application. I'll be happy to have a look at that for you. And any guidance you need, just drop me an email. I'll look into that for you. Thank you.
Mara 2, I need to enroll my form for the scholarship program. So Mara 2, the only form you need to actually submit will be your application form, and then we will assess you for the scholarship depending on whether or not you're self-funded or a sponsored student. So you need to, if you haven't already, go to our website, go to apply on the international page, and it's all available on the online application. There is no application fee. It's completely free for you to apply, and then we'll assess your application as a whole to determine whether or not we can give you that scholarship. And if you're self-funded, then you know that we're going to be able to give that to you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so the last question we've got is quite a technical one. I'm hoping Sal's going to be 50-50 on me when answering this one. So can you briefly state the difference between sound engineering and the creative music technology course? So per my understanding, I would say that the sound engineering is much more computer-based, and it's going to be more about kind of digitally producing a finished song. Whereas creative music technology will have some mixing in there as well, but there'll also be a lot more practical emphasis. So potentially if you play guitar or if you play drums, you can actually sample some of your own music into your own projects. So I believe that would be the main difference. What I would like to do though, if you could drop us an email, I think we can put you in touch maybe with one of the lecturers, and they can actually maybe do a chat with you online. Alternatively, we can just send you some of the course information, and then we can compare and contrast the core modules of the programs. We can kind of tell you what the major differences are. But as I say, I think for me, the sound engineering is more of the kind of finished article, what it's like to be a producer and bringing a piece of music into the industry, whereas the creative music technology is looking more at the kind of styles of sampling that you can use, like I say, more of the kind of practical content, and you actually getting to play the music, bringing it together to make a finished piece. I think those would be the main differences. But studying at the same campus, same tuition fee, same entry requirement. So there's going to be a subtle difference, but not a significant one. Okay, I hope that's helped a little bit, Ananth.
Okay, so that's it.
Okay, so we come to the end of our questions, and thank you very much for sending in so many really interesting questions. Hopefully we've managed to answer them and give you a nice flavour of what it's like to study here. So I think we'll call it a day there. Thank you very much for joining us. Any questions, like I say, just drop us an email and we'll be happy to help you. And in the future, you will get an email next time we're visiting the country. So every time I come about 7 times a year to India and the region, so you'll get an email to say where I'm at. So if you want to meet with me, let me know, and we can look to meet in country.
And we look forward to seeing you on campus, welcoming you aboard. So see you soon, guys.
Thank you very much then, guys.
Bye.
Bye.